If you've recently realized you're a neurodivergent woman, formally diagnosed, self-identified, or somewhere in between, there's a moment almost everyone reaches that no one really prepares you for. At first, there's relief. Things finally make sense. Your history makes sense. The exhaustion, the overthinking, the inconsistency, the starts and stops, the way effort never seemed to translate into ease the way it did for other people. And for a moment, that understanding feels like it should change everything. But then something unexpected happens. Nothing actually moves. You're not confused anymore, but you're not moving forward either. And that moment is what I want to talk about today. Because this is where so many neurodivergent women quietly get stuck, not because they lack motivation, intelligence, or desire, but because they were never given operating guidelines for adult life that actually match how their brain works. Understanding answers why your life unfolded the way it did, explains the past, brings compassion, it removes shame, but awareness alone does not give you direction, and that's not a failure on your part. It's a missing step. Most women assume that once they get it, momentum should follow naturally, that clarity should lead to consistency, that insight should unlock action. But awareness is not a system. It doesn't tell you how to make decisions. It doesn't teach you how to manage energy. It doesn't show you how to build structure that holds when motivation disappears. And it doesn't explain how to work with impulse, overwhelm, emotional depth, or even delayed processing. It just explains why those things exist. And without guidance, many women do what they've always done. They try harder, push longer, or they assume they're still doing something wrong. And they're not. They're just standing at the edge of a gap no one ever named for them. Here's the part no one says out loud. Most adult systems, work, relationships, money, routines, time management, all of those were built for neurotypical brains. Even personal development frameworks often assume linear energy, emotional regulation through willpower, and even consistency through discipline. So when a neurodivergent woman finally understands herself, she's still trying to move forward using tools that were never designed for her. That's why the frustration comes back. Not because awareness failed, but because awareness was never meant to be the finish line. It was meant to be the doorway. What most neurodivergent women were never taught wasn't self-esteem or effort or motivation. It was how to operate, how to decide without spiraling, how to move without burning out, how to create structure that feels supportive instead of suffocating, or how to build a life that works with fluctuating energy instead of punishing it. In other words, what was missing wasn't healing or validation. It was installation. Adult operating guidelines that actually fit your wiring. I want to be very clear about something. This is not about becoming more normal. It's not about forcing consistency. It's not about turning yourself into someone else. It's about learning how you move through the world and building around that with intention. Neurodivergent women don't need more insight. They need translation. They need someone to say, this is what's happening, and here's what you do with it. Direction doesn't return when you push harder. It returns when you stop expecting awareness to do a job it was never meant to do. When you stop asking, why am I like this? And start asking, given how I'm wired, what works next? That shift is where agency comes back. That's where confidence rebuilds. And that's where momentum becomes possible again, not through pressure, but through alignment. This channel exists for the woman who already understands herself a bit better than she ever has and is quietly asking, okay, now what? Not in a dramatic way, not in a crisis, but in that honest, grounded place where you're ready for guidance that respects your intelligence and your lived experience. We don't start with fixing, we start with clarity, and then we build from there. If this resonates, you're not late, you're not behind, and you're not broken. You're simply standing at the point where understanding ends and direction begins. And that's exactly where we're going next. I'll see you in the next teaching.